now starting on the back side of our notes that we worked on yesterday, what's different here from what we did yesterday? Anybody pick out what's different about what's happening back here versus what was going on the front side yesterday? What's the difference, Cameron?
We have to find the y-intercept.
Yeah, we have to find the y-intercept. We have to find the starting point. How do we know that this point that was given to us right here, how do we know that's not the y-intercept? Is that the y-intercept possibly? Isaac?
That's the order, that's just the order for us on the line. We have to actually find out where it started from.
Okay, but is the y-intercept actually on the line too?
Yes.
Okay, and class, I want you all to think about this. Does a y-intercept, does the starting point have its own ordered pair name?
Yes.
Class? Does the y-intercept have its own ordered pair name? Isaac said yes right away when nobody else responded, and now some of you are starting to chime in, got some yeses, got some nos. Is it a point on the graph?
Yes.
Okay, every point on the graph, every point on the coordinate plane has an ordered pair name. So does the y-intercept have an ordered pair name?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely it does. In fact, can you tell me something about all of the points that are on the y-axis? All those points, those starting points, no matter where we would put it on the y-axis, can you tell me something that they all have in common when we talk about their ordered pair names? Ariel?
The x is 0.
The x is equal to 0. For every single point on the y-axis, the x is equal to 0. So when they give us the slope and a point on the line, we say to ourselves, first of all, don't create any more work for yourself than you need to. We're all about trying to get by with as little as possible, right? So when you look at that point, you say to yourself, is x equal to 0? Because if it is, then I already have the y-intercept. So is x equal to 0 in the point that they gave us here?
No.
No, it's not. So this isn't the y-intercept, is it? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the y-intercept, and here's the real reason. The y-intercept does not have to be the starting point for graphing. It doesn't have to be. Typically it is. Typically it gets that role, but it doesn't have to be. So, but the reason that we need to find the y-intercept is so that we can give this line right here an equation. We want to be able to write an equation for it. So if we're going to be able to write an equation for that line, that's the reason we want the y-intercept, because then we can write an equation in, what's that form called again? We talked about that yesterday. Y equals mx plus b. What's that form? Cameron?
Y-intercept is formed here.
You know, you're kind of close. Rose?
Slope
Slope-intercept form. In other words, slope, you can get the slope from it, they're telling you. Intercept, they're telling you get the y-intercept from it. So that's one of the forms, one of the names we can give an equation. Okay, you get to study that one. What I'd like you to add over here in this part is substitute the given value for m. Well, up above it told us that m is what? For this line, what's the slope of this line?
2.
2. So m is 2. And then it said substitute the given values for x and y. Well, what was our given point?
3, 1.
3, 1. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write those things down, and we're going to say, you know what, that 3 is playing the role of what? What is that? Is that our x or our y?
Yes.
That's our x. And this is our y. So notice what they did. So they put the slope in first. We're going to do it all at one time, though. They put the slope in for the m. Here they put the 3 in for the x, and the 1 in for the y. And then they had an equation to solve that we're familiar with solving. We already know how to do this, okay? And then after they found their b value, after they found what b is the what?
Slope or y-intercept.
The y-intercept. After they found the b, then they said, okay, now we're going to write the equation. Here's our form. And they substituted into it. But we're going to put right here that here's what we do when we really substitute in the first time. Y stays y. Our slope gets replaced by 2 in this case. X stays X for the general equation, plus our B value, which is -5. Will you write that there, please, if you are not in the process already? When we substitute it in, we really have still we're putting it into the form as it is. They skipped that, showing us that step. They went straight to the cleaned up step. After we clean it up, we have y equals 2x minus 5. Doesn't just magically get there. They didn't show us substituting in. They showed substituting in and cleaning it up all in one step. Okay? Okay, so let's go down and practice on some of these together. So we have this line who has its slope is 3, it says. So what are we going to write? M equals 3. Ordered pair 4, 6 is on the line. Is that the y-intercept? Is ordered pair 4, 6 the y-intercept?
No,
How do we know?
doesn't have a 0.
Doesn't have a 0 for what?
Y.
X, no. X is not equal to 0. So we are going to have to use it to help us get the y-intercept. So we're going to write that ordered pair down. And below that 4, we're going to write x. Below that 6, we're going to write y. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to write our form that we're going to substitute into. Y equals mx plus b. So we have, over here on the left, we have those 3 numbers we get to substitute in. So what are we putting in for y? 6. What are we putting in for m? 3. In parentheses, right next to it, because parentheses next to a number can mean multiplication. What are we going to put in for x?
4.
4. And then this stays b. Make sure it looks like a b and not a 6. Okay. Okay, what are we going to do in the next step? What do you think we should do? We're going to do that multiplying. So 6 is going to come down, the equal sign is going to come down. 3 times 4 is?
12.
12. And now we need to get b alone. What's our move? Subtract 12 from both sides. So subtract 12 from both sides. And what is 6? Take away 12 on the left side. -6. Bring down our equal sign. These guys are gone. B is by itself. Okay. Now, we're going to substitute into our, so now we can say B equals -6. B equals -6. So now we can say, okay, here's my next move. I need the equation of the line. When I write the equation of the line, I need the slope in it and the y-intercept. That's all I need in it. And the x's and y's stay x's and y's. So it'll be y equals, our slope is 3x plus -6. Does that need cleaning up?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Y equals
3x minus 6.
-6. There's our final answer. Now, the other thing we're going to do today, though, is we're going to not just trust ourselves this early in the game. We're going to graph this as if we knew the y-intercept all along. Or in other words, we're going to test out and see if we got the right y-intercept. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. We're going to basically do what we've been doing the last couple of days. We're going to put our starting point on at the y-intercept. We're going to use the slope as rise over run to help us make other points. And then the goal is going to be that our line will go through that point that they gave us. So that graph handout I just handed you, put a number 6 on it, and at the top of it, we're going to, oh, mine says 5. Okay, I'll change mine to 6. At the top of it, we're going to put, what is our slope? Our slope is 3. So remember, we have 2 ways we can do a 3. as rise over run. So what are the two ways we can do a 3? What's one of them, Dakota? Pardon, I want one of them, what did you say? 3 over 1, thank you. So we would go 3 up, let's start doing that, maybe we don't have to write so much. 3 up and 1 right. Okay. Josh, what's the other one? Negative 3 over negative 1, which means we can go down 3 and left 1, can't we? Okay, but we still need a starting point. What was our y-intercept that we came up with?
3.
No, negative 6. We think the y-intercept is negative 6. So that means that's our starting point, isn't it? Okay, so let's go to our graph. And let's start at negative 6 on the y-axis. And let's use our 2 rise over runs to make 2 more points. Use your ruler as a straight edge to draw the line. Once you have your line, I want you to go back to this other notes page, and I want you to see what was the point that they gave us that's supposed to be on this line also? What's the ordered pair? Pardon? 3, 4 was the given point? No, it wasn't.
4, 6.
4, 6 was the given point. So I want you to go on your graph now, and I want you to plot ordered pair 4, 6 on this graph. I want you to go and plot ordered pair 4, 6. Mine didn't work out. What did I do wrong? Oh, my line is just off. When we don't make as many points, that's what happens. Okay, did that happen to you too? Is your point on your line? You got a better line than I did? Yeah, it should be on the line. Okay, now if I would go and make more points, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, I would have landed on there. My line was just not a good line. Just kind of got off. I can see it's off down here. Okay, so what should happen, what we're really verifying is, did we get the right y-intercept? Because if we got the right y-intercept, then that point they gave us should be on our line. And it is, right? Okay. So questions at this point. This is what you'll be doing in your homework. You're going to find the y-intercept, write the equation of the line, then you're going to go check out, you're going to go graph it using, just like we've been doing before, using the y-intercept to start with, the slope to get more points, and then make sure the point they gave us is on the line.
Can I just make one suggestion for on top? You know where the rise and run is? Is to put your, oh, you did? Okay, some people miss that step.
This right here, are you talking about?
On the B,
Oh, right here?
yeah. Just make sure you have all that grouped together, because then you know where your starting point is.
Okay. Okay, let's go into number 6. Now we're going to go back to our other sheet. And first thing we have to do is we have to decide, okay, what's our slope? And then that ordered pair that they gave us, we got to decide, is it the y-intercept? How do you feel about ordered pair 5, negative 2? You think that's the y-intercept? No. Why can't we say it's the y-intercept? X is not equal to 0. So we're going to do what we did in the last one. We're going to write our point down, and we're going to assign it its parts. 5 is X, and negative 2 is Y. And we're looking for B. That's what we're going to eventually find here, aren't we? We're looking for B. So we're going to come over here to the right, and we're going to put down our form. We're going to substitute into it. Go ahead and substitute into that. Let's make sure that you know how to substitute into it correctly. You do your own substitution step here. And then you can look up at mine and see if we agree.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is there ever gonna be a point where x does equal to
Or X, in the point you mean? There will be times, I'm not sure if today it's gonna happen, but it's just one of those things you wanna recognize that sometimes you can save yourself work. But even if you don't recognize that a point is the y-intercept, when you're all done and x was equal to 0, then you should end up with, for your b value, whatever the y was. You know, so if they had given it to us. But that's a good question. Will it ever happen? It can. Okay, so do you have the substitution step right? Okay, then let's carry on. We have a -2 equal to what?
-1.
-5. What do we have to do to get b alone? Subtract 5?
Add 5.
Remember, we can read addition backwards. When a negative number is being added, we add its opposite. So we add 5 to both sides. -2 plus 5. 3. And that's now our b is alone because these guys cancel each other out. So we can say our b is 3. And we are now ready to write the equation. Today you're gonna think that you're done after you get that b, but you're not quite done. You got another step to do yet. Now you still have to write the equation. So now we go to y equals mx plus b, and the only thing we want are the m and the b replaced in it. So we're going to say y equals -1x plus 3. Guess what? They're not going to show the answer like that in an answer bank. They're going to clean that up. Anybody have any idea what they think this might look like cleaned up? Ariel?
probably y equals x plus 3?
Not quite. Brighton?
Y equals -x plus 3.
Yeah. The only thing that can really be dropped out of there is the 1, and the negative sign has to stay there. We understand that there's still that invisible 1 behind the negative sign in between it and the x value. So this is how we would see the answer in an answer bank. Okay, so let's go to our graphing page. Let's write down the information we need for graphing. What do we need? M equals, what is it? -1. So we need to do our rise over runs. We have a lot of graphing to do with linear functions in the upcoming things this year and next year, so we have to make sure we understand how to do this. So that we keep, adding. What's one of the rise over runs that I can write down here? One over run. Isaac, what's one?
-1 over positive.
Okay, -1 over +1, which would mean we go down 1 and right 1. What's another way I can use that rise over run? Stefan?
Positive 1 over negative
1 over -1. I can go up 1 or left 1. And left 1, I mean. And then we have to do our b value, our starting point. What's our starting point for this one? What did we get?
3.
3. So our SP, our starting point, is 3. So we need to start at 3. And this is a graph I'm going to suggest you make more than 3 points on. Just, go crazy for a little bit here. If you go down 1 and right 1, do it again. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Just so you get a really good line. They're so close together, these points. Go back to the starting point. I can go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. I just keep going. Okay, and then draw your line. harder for me to do on this board. Okay, what was our purpose for graphing it again? Why are we graphing it? Today, what's the reason we're graphing it? We want to check to see if we got the right y-intercept. Because if we got the right y-intercept, the point they gave us is supposed to be on this line, should be on it. So let's go check out our point. What is the order term they gave us?
5 negative
5, negative 2. Okay, so go to the graph and plot ordered pair of 5, negative 2. And it's on our line, isn't it? So that verifies for us that we have a good y-intercept. Or we're good graphers. So any questions on that one? Okay, then let's go back to our other sheet. And let's do one that has a slope that's a fraction. You don't have to be afraid of fractions. So what is that 1/2? What do we call it?
1/2.
What do we call it?
0.5.
M.
Oh,
M equals. Is our ordered pair the y-intercept? No. Okay, so negative 2, 8. Negative 2 is our
X,
x. 8 is our
Y,
y. We're looking for
B.
b, aren't we? Okay. So let's do our substituting in. Okay, I have that we have to take 1/2 of negative 2. Can we do it? Okay, what's positive times negative?
Negative.
Negative. What's half of 2? 1. So this is a negative 1. So we're all about not using those calculators. And a negative number is being added to b, so we add its opposite, which is positive 1. So we add 1 to both sides, and we get 9 for b. Okay, so we have our b value now. And we have one more step before we go graph. What's that?
Negative.
We're going to write the equation. So we say y equals mx plus b. We got to put it into our form. We put y equals 1/2 x
Plus,
plus 9. There's our equation. Okay? Now go graph it using your starting point and your slope. So our slope was 1/2, which means rise over run. We leave it just like that, 1/2. Or we can do what? Make them both negative. So up and right, down and left. We got 9 for B, am I right? Okay, so that's our starting point. And since that's so high up on the graph, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ignore the first rise over run, and I'm going to use the second one as many times as I can. So I'm going to go down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, and just keep going until I have a bunch of points to make a good line. that a reason for graphing it again?
Might not be able to do that.
Make sure we have a good y-intercept, right? And how are we gonna check that out? Using that point they gave us. They gave us -2, 8, am I right? And there it is right there. It's on our line, isn't it? Okay. You guys need to get more sleep at night. Okay, and the last one, which is my numbering is off. This was actually, right, this was 6, yeah, that up one up here. Notice I forgot to change it. This is a 7, I mean, and then this one we just did was actually number 8. And then we're now going to do number 9 next, okay. Okay, let's go back and do one more here quickly. Hopefully we can get through this one pretty quick. Our slope is 0, so m equals 0. Is our point the y-intercept? No, so we got an x and a y value to use. We're looking for b. Be almost able to work without looking up here at mine anymore. Be able to substitute in. What's 0 plus b? B. Do we even need to subtract 0 from both sides? No, 0 plus b is just b. So our b, make sure you can tell the difference between your b and your 6. Did you get 6 for b?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so now we have our b value. And we're ready to write our equation. So what's our equation? Okay, y equals 0, x plus 6. Is that how we're going to see it in answer bank, do you think? Can that be cleaned up? How can it be cleaned up to? What can it be cleaned up to? Cameron?
Y.
Ariel?
Y equals 6.
Y equals 6. We can ditch that 0x because 0 times anything is 0, and 0 plus 6 is 6. So here's our equation. Oh, and remember the slope is 0, so what kind of a line should we get?
Horizontal.
A horizontal line. So let's go over to our graphing page, and let's put, you know what, we got a slope of 0. We're not even going to do rise over run. We're going to say if I have a slope of 0, I know I have what kind of a line? Horizontal line. So we're just going to write horizontal line. We don't have to do that rise over run thing. We get to say this is a horizontal line. My B is 6, so that's still a starting point, isn't it? Because we have to still start somewhere. So we're going to go to our graph, and we're going to put a point at 6 on the y-axis. And you're going to take your ruler and draw a horizontal line going through it. And then you're going to check to see if that point they gave us is on our line. Is the point they gave us on our line? Yes. Are you sure? What is it? Ordered pair 4, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is, right there. Let's identify it on our graphs. Let's make sure that it's there. Okay. I got a little long, but I want to make sure that we covered all kinds of types of things that you will see, so you're not sitting there stuck saying you did not know what to do on it, okay? Okay, so let's get our